Before you could get everything delivered with online orders, retail shopping was a part of everyday life in America. However, many of the stores we thought were untouchable are now relics of the past. The digital age turned once busy malls into ghost towns and left many big retail stores struggling to survive. Today, many of the household names you grew up loving are now a distant memory. In this video, we will cover 10 big retail stores that went out of business forever. If you grew up in the 70s or 80s, Kmart was likely a staple in your weekly routine. Kmart was a cultural giant at one point, with over 2,000 stores at its peak, and was the second largest retailer in America. This was the home of the Blue Light Special, where a flashing siren could turn an ordinary shopping trip into a rush to get a discounted item. The downfall of Kmart was its refusal to adapt to trends, while its rivals like Walmart and Target were modernizing rapidly. After a series of bankruptcies, the iconic Kmart signs were taken down across the country. Today, the last remaining Kmart store is located in Miami, Florida, where it only occupies the original small gardening section. Before Amazon, you went to Sears to find anything you needed. From Craftsman tool sets to Kenmore refrigerators, you could find whatever you needed in the thick Sears catalog sent to you 3 times a year. At its peak, Sears was the largest retailer on the planet and had built the world's tallest building at the time for its headquarters in Chicago. But as Sears entered the 90s, its success started to slow down. Unable to compete with Walmart's prices and meet trends like other retailers, Sears lost its identity. Towards the end, many people only used the Sears entrance to get into the mall it was attached to and walked right past the outdated showrooms. Once known as the everything store, Sears has lost its cultural impact and is now down to 5 remaining locations. Before America started to shift to shopping at mega retailers exclusively, there was the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. Most of us knew the stores as simply A&P, which was the inventor of the modern supermarket. In the 1930s, A&P had grown to over 16,000 locations and sold everyday essentials in small shops for customers. However, as the American lifestyle shifted to the suburbs, many people started to prefer the large stores like Safeway or Kroger. With decades of corporate infighting and failed modernization attempts, A&P supermarkets became a regional relic. In 2015, the final A&P location was closed, leaving behind a 156-year legacy of a chain that pioneered the self-service supermarket model. If you were a tech enthusiast in the 80s, Radio Shack was where you went to check out the latest gadgets. At its peak, you could often find a location only a few minutes away from your home. Radio Shack is often where you bought your first CB radio or computer. If you needed a part to fix a broken electronic, you could also find it at your local shop. But as electronics became more disposable and harder to repair, the hobbyists that made up Radio Shack's main customer base disappeared. At one point, the brand attempted to shift itself as a cell phone store, but ultimately lost the rivalry with phone carriers. After 2 bankruptcies and thousands of locations closed, the ultimate neighborhood tech shop was gone for good. Another tech store that got left in the dust during the digital age was Circuit City. With its iconic red tower, it was the king of the electronics boom in the 80s and 90s. At its peak popularity, the electronics store had over 700 locations and pioneered the electronics superstore model. In 1988, Circuit City had the chance to buy a small competitor named Best Buy, but were convinced they would not amount to anything. Eventually, this mistake ended up becoming their demise, leading to the firing of 3,400 experienced salespeople for budget cuts. By 2009, the final location of this tech giant had turned off its lights for the last time. When you needed a pair of shoes for the new school year, Your parents likely brought you to one place: PayLess. This discount shoe store was the king of budget shoe shopping and offered a wide range of brands. Instead of traditional shoe stores that featured salesmen, PayLess was the first to introduce the find-it-yourself model. However, once the 2000s arrived, PayLess couldn't keep up with online retailers and fast fashion giants. Instead of the stores feeling like a bargain, the aisles of shoes felt cluttered and outdated. In 2019, PayLess decided to close all of its 2,500 locations due to financial troubles and being unable to meet the needs of young shoppers. Long before Walmart, there were five-and-dime general stores that had a wide variety of products. Among these variety stores, the most well-known were those created by F.W. Woolworth. These Woolworth stores had everything you needed under one roof, from pet goldfish to sandwiches. At its height, there were thousands of Woolworth's locations, with every downtown in America having one. Its iconic lunch counter always smelled of fresh popcorn and grilled cheese. By the 1980s, the small variety store model started to fall out of popularity, and the Woolworth's downtown locations were closing rapidly. In 1997, the company made the decision to close the remaining 400 locations and end a 117-year legacy. For over 60 years, Toys R Us made up the childhoods of kids across America. To millions of children, the trip to a Toys R Us was an event and felt like entering a wonderland of toys. The retail giant grew to over 1,500 stores, selling everything from Barbie dolls to video games. But behind the mountain of toys, the company was quietly drowning in debt. Instead of kids enjoying physical toys and games, they started to turn to iPads and other devices. In 2017, Toys R Us filed for bankruptcy and shuttered every single U.S. location. While the brand is attempting to make a comeback, the era of a standalone toy store is sadly a thing of the past. Another toy store that got impacted by changing trends was KB Toys. Instead of standalone toy stores, KB Toys had locations primarily in shopping malls where parents would stop by after a day of shopping with their kids. As Walmart and Target grew in popularity, the cramped layout of KB Toys fell out of favor. The toy store simply could not compete anymore, leading to a buyout from investors who could not save the business. By the time the 2008 financial crisis hit, the company was on its last legs and declared bankruptcy for the second time. Early 2009 was the end for KB Toys, with every location shutting its doors for good. While KB Toys has been claiming they will make a comeback, it will likely remain a part of American mall culture that's not coming back. One of the most missed retail stores no longer around is Blockbuster Video. Visiting your local Blockbuster on the weekends was a routine for millions of Americans. We all remember the smell of popcorn when you walked in and the sound that the VHS case made when the employee closed it. At its peak in 2004, Blockbuster had 9,000 stores and employed 84,000 people. In 2000, Blockbuster was given the chance to buy out a struggling startup called Netflix. With Blockbuster executives thinking physical stores were untouchable, the sale never happened. Today, there is only one remaining Blockbuster location in Bend, Oregon, that is seen more as a museum than an actual video rental store. Thanks for watching. Which store do you miss most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on our new videos.